If the savannah had a sense of humor, it might look like a grocery store cart race with horns. One moment, everything seems calm. The next, 1,000,000 blue wildebeest, 300,000 zebra, and 400,000 gazelle are all on the move, all trying to make it through one more day. This is the Great Migration, one of the biggest journeys on Earth. And it is not a peaceful road trip. It is a test of speed, nerve, and luck. In this episode, we're heading into a world where every water crossing, every open plain, and every shadow in the grass can mean life or death. If you're watching from home, say hello in the comments and tell us where you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you. Have you ever wondered how 1,000,000 animals can move like one living thing across an entire continent? Out here, the grasslands seem to breathe. Dust hangs in the air. Hooves strike the ground in a steady thunder, and the horizon keeps shifting with each new wave of life. This is the Great Migration, one of Africa's biggest journeys, with over 1,000,000 blue wildebeest, about 300,000 zebra, and 400,000 gazelle on the move. They are not family, but they share the same hard bargain. Keep going, stay alert, and live long enough to see another sunrise. Their path leads them across open plains, through river country, and into country where every step can mean danger. And somewhere along that long road, survival is never far from the line.
If you have ever watched a log drift past in a river, quiet and harmless, you know how easy it is to be fooled at first glance. But some of the most dangerous things in Africa do their best work by doing almost nothing at all. They wait, they watch, and when the moment comes, they explode into action. Along the Mara River, that kind of patience belongs to the Nile crocodile. It has ruled these waters for about 200 million years, and it can grow up to 20 feet long and weigh as much as 2,200 pounds. This is a giant built for ambush, a survivor that turns still water into a trap. The Nile crocodile lives across much of Africa in rivers, lakes, and marshes. But here, at the river crossing, it becomes part of the story of life and death for every animal brave enough to enter the current. Look closely and you may see more than a reptile. You may see a shape that looks like old wood, half sunk in mud, waiting for a mistake. Its body is long and armored, covered in rough scales that look like they were made from river stone. The snout is narrow and powerful, lined with teeth that can grab and hold with terrible strength. Those eyes sit high on the head, so the crocodile can watch the world, while almost all of its body stays hidden. That alone tells you a lot. This animal is made for patience. It does not need to chase all day. It needs only the right chance. Most of its body stays close to the riverbed, where the mud and reeds break up its outline. From a distance, it can pass for a floating branch, a shadow, or a piece of the river itself. Even its skin color helps it disappear. Browns, grays, and olive tones blur into the water and silt. Up close, though, the details tell a different story. The back is ridged like a row of small hills. The tail is thick and muscular, built for a sudden burst through the water. And those jaws, held shut with near-invisible restraint, can snap open with shocking speed when prey comes within reach. A crocodile does not need to look fast to be fast. It just needs to be hidden well enough. For much of the day, the Nile crocodile rests in the river shallows or on muddy banks, soaking up the sun and saving energy. Like a hunter who knows the best fishing spot in town, it picks its place carefully. The river crossing gives it everything it wants. Animals must come here to drink, to move, and to continue the migration. That means the crocodile does not have to search widely. The food comes to it. Wildebeest, zebra, and other thirsty animals crowd the banks during the crossing, and the crocodile waits for one weak step, one slip, one frightened splash. Then comes the strike. The head shoots forward. The jaws clamp down. The water boils. Strong legs churn. The tail whips like a heavy rope. If the animal can be dragged under, the fight is often over. If not, the river may still claim a victim through panic and exhaustion. This is not a chase. It is a trap with a heartbeat, and it works because the crocodile is built for short, violent moments, not long journeys. After a meal, it can go for a long time before eating again. That is part of its success. It is a creature of patience, not hurry. It knows how to sit with the river and let the river do the work. Family life for a Nile crocodile is not soft, but it is more careful than many people expect. A female lays her eggs in a nest of plants and soil, usually near the water's edge, and guards them through the waiting period. When the hatchlings are ready, she helps dig them out and may even carry them gently in her mouth to the water. That sounds hard to imagine from an animal with such crushing jaws, but it happens. For the young, the first days are the most dangerous. Birds, fish, and bigger crocodiles all pose a threat. Even with a mother nearby, many do not survive. The ones that do learn fast. They stay alert. They hide well. They grow into the same patient style of life that has kept crocodiles here for so long. This animal matters because it helps keep river life in order. It takes the weak, the careless, and the unlucky. It also keeps the food chain moving by feeding scavengers and smaller creatures after a kill. In that way, the crocodile is not just a hunter. It is part of the cleanup and recycling system of the river. In some places, people still fear it, and for good reason. But river protection and safer community planning can help reduce conflict, while healthy wetlands give these animals the room they need to survive. Then the crossing begins. It is late afternoon, and the light turns gold on the water. The herd bunches at the edge. Hooves churn the mud. Zebra ears flick. Wildebeest snort and hesitate. One animal steps in, then another. The current grabs at legs and bellies. The water rises in splashes and dark swirls. And below the surface, there are eyes. A tail moves once. Nothing else. Not yet. A young wildebeest lunges across, then stops, confused by the churn. A crocodile surges upward. The river flashes white. Nearby animals scatter and jostle, each one fighting to find footing. A zebra rears back and turns away from the deeper channel. The whole bank seems to breathe in one hard, fearful gasp. Then just as quickly, the moment passes. The water settles. The survivors stumble onto the far shore, shaking and alive, and the crocodile sinks back into the brown river, once again becoming only a shape in the mud. That is the power of this animal, not loud, not rushed, just certain.
What herbivore looks at a pride of lions and decides the conversation isn't over? What 2,000-pound wall of muscle and temper holds grudges, remembers faces, and has been known to circle back hours later to settle unfinished business? Meet the Cape buffalo, Africa's black tank with a permanent scowl, an ox so heavily armed and lethally coordinated that even apex predators pause to recalculate the cost. No fancy stripes, no elegant leaps. Just a boss-like helmet of fused bone, curved horns sharp enough to gut a Land Rover, and a herd mentality that flips from grazing to full cavalry charge in the span of a heartbeat. This isn't prey that runs and hopes. This is prey that stands, stares, and asks one simple question with blood-red eyes. You sure you want to try this today? In the killing fields of the savannah, where speed and stealth usually win, the Cape buffalo rewrote the rules with one brutal truth. Sometimes, the best defense is a ton of pure, unforgiving offense. Sculpted like a bulldozer in hide and horn, a big bull can tip the scales near a ton and stand over 5 feet at the shoulder. The coat runs charcoal to sooty brown, a matte finish that drinks sunlight but hides scars. The headline is the hardware. Horns sweep sideways and up, meeting in the middle as a thick helmet, the boss, that armors the skull and turns headbutts into shockwaves. A deep chest, heavy neck, and low-slung head set the center of gravity forward, perfect for driving power into a charge that can hit 40 kilometers per hour in a heartbeat. Cloven hooves splay for grip in mud and on baked clay alike. A whip of a tail signals mood the way a referee uses flags. Eyes are dark, steady, and unamused. Ears flick constantly, filtering wind-borne gossip. The skin is thick, the nerves are quick, and the whole chassis is built for endurance. Long, dusty commutes to water, long days of grinding grass down to green confetti, and, when needed, sudden violence that rearranges a predator's priorities. By day, the herd grazes in a slow tide, heads down, jaws working, calves tucked where the walls are thickest. Vigilance is communal. Dozens of eyes and ears stack into one surveillance system that notices the wrong rustle and the extra shadow. When danger tests the edge, geometry answers. A loose line becomes a ring, horns out, bosses forward, a living fortress with a temper. Lions know the rehearsal. Many hunts end in dust and second thoughts. And Africa's most lethal pack, painted wolves, reads the math too. They might probe a straggler or a calf, but against a tight herd, they pivot to antelope because the buffalo's return on risk is terrible for even elite teams. Dry season turns up the volume. Water pinches into muddy bowls, tempers shorten, and night marches stretch between pastures. At dusk, the air cools, bellies fill, and an old bull may lift his head and bellow, a deep drum roll that says, "We hold here." Vultures circle with patience. Hyenas laugh at the margins. The herd listens, shifts, and waits out the dark like an army bivouacked on its shield. Buffalo society is strength braided with rules. Core herds mix adult cows, their calves, and attendant bulls. Older males often peel off into bachelor groups, the famous Daga boys, who haunt waterholes and thickets with unpredictable attitude. Inside the main herd, calves stay central, mothers flank them, and bulls patrol the rim like moving ramparts. Dominance among males is decided in head-on physics. Under a red sky, two titans step from the crowd, knees bent, chins tucked, and slam bosses with a crack that rolls the plain. They shove, feint, reset, and collide again until one yields, newly tattooed with dust and dents. Females carry the sacred continuity. After an 11-month gestation, a 30 to 40 kilogram calf drops, is licked into circulation, and stands on wobbling stilts within minutes. There's no nursery pass. The herd is moving, and so is the lesson. Keep up, stay central, read the adults. Buffalo are lawn crews with hooves. Their grazing trims dominant grasses, opening space for tender regrowth that feeds antelope behind them. Their trails become highways for everything from warthogs to wild dogs. Dung seeds the landscape and fuels insects, fish, and birds along floodplains. They're also keystones in the predator economy. Calves and compromised adults feed lions and hyenas, yet their defense shapes when, where, and how predators hunt. Conservation status is generally least concern, but local declines track shrinking habitat, conflict with cattle, and disease. Corridors, water stewardship, and community conservancies keep the wall intact. In a continent famous for solo heroes and swift packs, the African buffalo reminds us that power can be plural. It embodies the spirit of unity, silent steps, locked horns, and a promise that together is the strongest armor nature ever forged. The first thing you notice is the sound. Soft water lapping against mud, reeds whispering in the wind. Then a heavy smell rises from the marsh, part wet earth, part green grass, part something old and wild, baking in the sun. These riverbanks and marshlands may look peaceful at first glance, but they are busy crossroads for life and death. Here, the savanna slows down for a moment. Hooves sink into soft ground, birds lift from the reeds, and every animal that comes to drink has to keep one eye on the water and one eye on the bank. Hippos wallow in the shallows, crocodiles wait in the mud, and birds pick their way through the marsh grass. It is a place of food, danger, and constant watching, where the next splash can mean safety or trouble.
He really does wear the savannah's crown, with a face that says, "I woke up like this." And when that mane catches the light, it can look a little like a shaggy collar someone forgot to brush. But there is nothing funny about the power behind it. This is the lion, one of Africa's best-known cats, and a symbol of life on the open plains. Lions live across grasslands, savannas, and open woodland, where there is room to stalk, charge, and vanish back into cover. They are strongest in groups, and that group life gives them an edge when food is hard to find. On these plains, every day is a test, and the lion has built its whole life around meeting that test head-on. The body is built low and solid, like a heavy chair close to the ground. A grown male can weigh around 400 pounds, and males are usually larger than females. That mane is the giveaway. It frames the face like a dark halo and can make a lion look even bigger than it already is. But size is only part of the story. Lions have short, powerful jaws, strong shoulders, and long forelegs made for grabbing and holding. Their coats are usually tawny gold, the color of dry grass in late afternoon. It is the perfect camouflage when they are lying flat in the brush. Even the tail has a purpose. It helps with balance during fast turns and sudden bursts. A lion can seem almost lazy while resting in the heat of the day, but that stillness hides a body ready to explode into motion. Most of the hunting is done by the lionesses, and they are patient, careful, and quick. They use the wind, the grass, and each other. One may circle wide, while another waits low and still. Then, in a few seconds, the chase is on. A lion's day is often a cycle of waiting, watching, and saving energy. It can go long stretches without a meal, then eat a huge amount when the hunt goes well. And when a kill is made, the pride gathers fast. There is no neat table setting out here. It is first come, first served, and the strongest, boldest lions often get the first bite. Cubs stay close to their mothers for protection and milk, tumbling through the grass when the danger feels far away. But danger is never far away. In a pride, females help raise each other's young, which gives the cubs a better chance. They nurse, groom, and guard one another's babies. The males have a different job. They help defend the pride's territory, roaring to warn off rivals and keep intruders away. That roar can carry for miles across open country, a deep warning that says, "This land is taken." Lions matter because they help keep the herd animals moving and alert. They often target the old, the weak, or the careless, which helps shape the whole rhythm of the plains. And because they sit near the top of the food chain, their presence tells us a lot about the health of the land itself. Where lions disappear, the whole balance can shift. Sadly, they are under pressure from shrinking habitat, conflict with livestock keepers, and fewer large prey animals in some places. But protected areas and careful conservation work are helping in parts of Africa. and that gives hope. When the sun starts to sink and the grass turns bronze, a pride can seem to melt right into the land. Then, just as quickly, those golden shadows come alive. You never forget the sound of a lion at dusk. It stays with you like thunder rolling far off across the plain.
When the chase ends, the sky takes over. In the hush after a kill, dark sails spiral down like a verdict. Meet the African vultures of the Serengeti Mara, white-backed ripples, and the imposing lappet-faced. They do not start the hunt, they finish the aftermath, arriving with perfect timing to turn danger into cleanliness. Built for patience and precision, vultures wear earth-toned plumage that blends with sun-baked grass, sooty browns, sandy buffs, a pale saddle on whitebacks, and the lappet-faced's stark, wrinkled pink mask that looks like authority made flesh. Their most famous feature is practical, not pretty. A bare head and long, featherless neck that slip deep into carcasses without collecting grime, then bake sterile under the sun. Eyes are high-definition sensors. From kilometers away, they can read the language of motion, circling birds, a twitch of dust, the glint of exposed hide. Long, fingered wings, spans pushing 2.3 to nearly 3 meters, lock on rising thermals, letting them cruise vast territories with barely a wing beat. At the business end, hooked beaks act like can openers for Africa's toughest packaging. The lappet-faced, in particular, can punch through hide that even lions hesitate to start. Their feet are not raptor talons but sturdy walking gear, perfect for crowd control around a carcass, while a fortified crop stores meat and a caustic stomach acid neutralizes pathogens that would fell almost any other animal. They wait until the dust and growls fade, then descend, silent, methodical, and absolutely essential. From a bare branch, they watch like magistrates, reading the grass for verdicts. African vultures spend their mornings riding thermals, spiraling into kettles that scan miles of savanna with almost no effort. They key off signals others miss, a dust plume, a sudden stillness in a herd, the way hyenas start to loiter. After a lion's rush and the growls fade, they do not dive straight in. Caution is policy. They circle, wait for the big jaws to step back, then glide down, wings wide, intent, quiet. The lappet-faced often lands first to punch a door through hide. White-backed and ripples flood in behind, heads vanishing into the red. Feeding is fast, focused, and surprisingly tidy. A hop shuffle around the carcass, quick jabs of the hooked bill, a hierarchy enforced by sidelong glare and wing spread. Between bouts, they sun with wings outstretched, baking their bare heads and disinfecting what the job demands they touch. If danger flares, they lighten the load with a defensive vomit, lift off, and return when it is safe. By afternoon, they are clean-up crews turned silhouettes again, riding warm air back to roosts before the night closes. They do not live as prides or packs, but their society is a loose web stitched by sightlines and timing. Most African vultures form monogamous pairs, nesting in colonies, whitebacks in tall trees, rupels on cliff ledges, lappet-faced more solitary in scattered treetops. One egg is the rule. Both parents incubate for nearly 2 months and feed the chick by regurgitation for many weeks after fledging. A long apprenticeship for a life lived on the wing. Away from nests, gatherings form and dissolve around thermals and carcasses. At the table, size sets rank. Lappet-faced dominate with sheer presence, while the more numerous white-backed and high-flying ripples press in, hissing, grunting, and mantle spreading to claim a slot. Cooperation is subtle but real. Information moves through the sky. One bird stoops, others read the angle and follow. Even hyenas watch those spirals like road signs to dinner. It is not affection that binds them so much as a shared profession, finishing what predators start, quickly, cleanly, and together enough to keep the plains from becoming a graveyard. They do not start the hunt, they close the case. Vultures arrive after predators attack and turn chaos into hygiene, stripping carcasses in hours and preventing the plains from becoming a disease factory. Caustic stomach acids neutralize nasties like anthrax and botulism. Bare heads and long featherless necks keep them clean even when they work deep inside rib cages. Hooked beaks, especially the lappet-faceds, open hides that even lions hesitate to pierce, creating access for smaller scavengers and speeding the nutrient cycle back to grass. With eyes tuned to spot trouble from kilometers away and vast fingered wings that surf thermals, they patrol immense ranges with almost no energy cost. Their sky-borne information network even guides other scavengers to the scene. Yet guardians can fall. Poisoning, power lines, and illegal trade have pushed many African vultures to endangered or critically endangered. In the stillness after the strike, those dark wings do not herald doom. They deliver a necessary mercy. Not icons of death, vultures are the quiet custodians who keep the living world from drowning in it.
In the early light, the grass seems to hold its breath. There is a soft hush over the plain, broken now and then by the whisper of hooves and the low grunts of the herd. Then through that calm, a striped shape steps forward like it belongs to the morning itself. This is the zebra, one of the great guardians of the migration, living across the open savannas of Africa and moving with the endless flow of wildebeest and gazelle. It may look calm now, but out here calm can change in a heartbeat. One wrong step, one broken line, and the whole journey can tilt toward danger. Zebras are built for that life. They stay close, watch everything, and help keep the herd alert. Their stripes are not just beautiful, they are part of a life spent always listening, always ready, always on the move. A zebra's coat is the first thing most people notice. Those bold black and white stripes seem almost too sharp for the soft gold of the savanna. It looks as if someone painted them by hand, stripe by stripe. But there is nothing fragile about this animal. A full-grown zebra can weigh up to 850 pounds, and that gives it a solid, sturdy build under all that pattern. The body is made for travel. Strong legs, tough hooves, a thick neck, a head that keeps turning, checking, watching. And then there are those eyes. Zebras have a visual range of nearly 360 degrees, which means they can see danger coming from almost every direction. That wide view is a huge gift on open land where there is nowhere to hide. It also makes the zebra a kind of lookout for the whole herd. While wildebeest depend on keen hearing and smell, the zebra adds sharp sight to the group. Together, they make a stronger, safer crowd than either could alone. For all that alertness, zebras still spend much of the day doing simple things. They graze, they walk, they rest in short spells when they can. They move with the seasons, following fresh grass and water across huge distances. And that travel is never easy. The sun can be hard. The ground can be dry and rough. Predators wait for a weak leg, a tired mother, or a foal that has fallen behind. That is why zebras stay close to others. In a herd, every set of stripes blurs into the next, making it harder for a hunter to pick out one animal from the crowd. It is a clever kind of safety, born from constant pressure. Zebras also talk to one another in small, quick ways. A flick of the ears, a shift of the tail, a sudden tightening of the group. They are always reading each other, always adjusting. Family matters deeply here. A zebra mare will guard her young closely, keeping the foal near her side and guiding it through the first risky weeks of life. Young zebras learn fast. They need to. The migration does not slow down for the small or the tired. If a youngster lingers too long, the herd may move on, and that is when danger begins to circle. This is why the zebra's place in the migration matters so much. It is not just another grazing animal. It is part of the moving shield that helps the whole herd survive. Its eyes, its body, its speed, and its nerves all help protect the larger journey. And that journey is still under pressure today, as roads, fencing, and shrinking habitat make these great movements harder than they used to be. Keeping migration routes open is not just good for zebras, it helps the whole savanna stay alive. As the morning grows warmer, the herd starts forward again, a living river of stripes and dust. One animal lifts its head, another falls in behind, and for a little while, the plain feels steadier, as if those black and white lines are stitching the morning together. But the peace never lasts long out here. By late afternoon, the light grows harsher, the shadows longer, and the herd has reached a riverbank. The grass is shorter here. The air smells of mud and wet earth. Wildebeest press closer. Zebras stand at the edge, heads high, ears forward. No one drinks for long. No one trusts the water. Then a calf stumbles near the line, and every head snaps in the same direction. The herd tightens, Hooves shift. Dust rises. Somewhere nearby, a lion calls. Not close enough to see, but close enough to feel. The zebra nearest the river gives a sharp snort, and the whole group turns as one. They do not charge. They do not panic. They simply move together, leaving the river behind for another day. That is the quiet power of the zebra. It does not rule by force. It survives by alertness, by unity, and by never forgetting that safety often begins with a single watchful eye.
No wings, no mercy. On these plains, the bird that cannot fly outruns almost everything, and if cornered, it turns legs into lightning and feet into sledgehammers. This is the Maasai ostrich, Struthio camelus masiacus, of the Serengeti Maasai Mara savannas, a giant built for open country, where lions, leopards, and cheetahs test every step. When predators attack, it answers with pace, poise, and a kick you do not want to meet. Imagine a sprinter scaled up to 2.7 meters tall and over 150 kilograms, then dressed for the spotlight or the shadows. The breeding male wears jet black plumage with a vivid pinkish-red neck and thighs, billboard bold in season, while the female's soft gray beige blends perfectly with sun-scorched grass. Flight is off the table. No keel on the breastbone, small wings, but evolution reinvested that budget in legs, long muscled pillars with springy tendons that store and release energy like loaded bows. 2 toes, unique among birds, end in a hoof-like main claw, turning each stride into a fast, efficient piston that can drive the bird to 70 kilometers per hour and hold it there. The wings still matter, like counterweights for balance in hairpin turns, air brakes for sudden stops, and flags in courtship. Up top, those enormous eyes, nearly 50 millimeters across, the biggest of any land animal, are guarded by thick lashes and a nictitating membrane, pulling distant danger into sharp focus. Naked thighs and sparse plumage dump heat. The male's black suit even doubles as a night blanket during incubation, while the female's sandy tones hide the nest by day. And if speed fails, the last line of defense is brutal. A forward kick powered by those muscle towers, the main claw striking with bone-cracking authority. Dawn on the Serengeti Mara is breakfast, and lookout duty rolled into one. The Maasai ostrich grazes on fresh shoots, seeds, flowers, and fallen pods, snapping up insects and the odd lizard as side snacks. Pebbles swallowed during the day grind food in a muscular gizzard, nature's blender without the plug. They often feed alongside zebras and gazelles, trading services. The ostrich's skyscraper eyes spot danger early. The herds stir up tasty bugs. Heat climbs and the routine shifts. Wings lift like parasols to vent heat, panting starts, and dust bathing keeps feathers clean and parasites evicted. Midday is for shade and stillness. Late afternoon brings more foraging and short sprint drills across open flats. When predators attack, strategy depends on distance. Far away, freeze and sink low, necks stretched flat like a tuft of grass. Close, explode into a 70-kilometer-per-hour escape, wings acting as rudders for zigzags. Cornered, the bird whips a forward kick, main claw stabbing with bone-snapping force. Adults rarely get tested twice. Ostriches run a seasonal society, loose flocks most of the year, then tight politics in breeding time. A territorial male stakes an open patch and advertises with bass booms that roll like distant thunder, neck flushed pink, wings flashing white in a dramatic dance. He scrapes a shallow nest and assembles a harem. Multiple females lay in one communal dump nest, but a dominant female gets priority. She will sort the clutch, centering her own eggs and pushing extras to the edges where survival odds drop. The head pair split incubation like pros, her sandy plumage by day, his black suit by night, camouflage done right. After 40 to 46 days, downy precocial chicks step out ready to run, forming a creche guarded by the male and several females. They grow fast, shadowing the adults, flattening on cue when danger nears. When predators attack, adults front the threat, hissing, towering, and if needed, charging, while the young vanish into the grass. In mixed herds, those watchtower eyes become community insurance, warning antelopes and zebras alike. On the Serengeti Mara, the Maasai ostrich is both sentry and landscaper. Those nearly 50-millimeter eyes scan far and wide, warning zebras and antelopes with instant body language, while its grazing trims lawns that spark fresh grass growth and open sight lines for many species. Seeds hitch rides through the gut and drop miles away with a handy fertilizer package, insect snacking trims, outbreaks of locusts and ticks, even losses, eggs or fallen chicks, fuel jackals, monitors, and vultures, stitching the bird into the food web both as actor and resource. Adaptations make it possible. Two-toed, spring-loaded legs for 70-kilometer-per-hour sprints, bare thighs and wing shading to vent heat, a stone-powered gizzard to mill tough forage, and dimorphic plumage that perfects day and night incubation. Near people, fences, snares, habitat loss, and egg harvest remain real threats. When predators attack, the ostrich answers with foresight, footwork, and, only if pushed, ferocity. It embodies the open plains wisdom. Survive by seeing first, running smart, and turning legs into a line no hunter wants to cross. Ever seen courage with a mohawk and a mustache? When a warthog gets cornered, the savanna suddenly sprouts sharp opinions and a pair of tusks that mean business. Meet the African warthog of Uganda's sun-baked plains and light woodlands, from Murchison Falls to Kadipo's wind-scoured grass. Stocky, scarred, and surprisingly quick, this pig wears its battles on its face and keeps its confidence in the ground beneath its hooves. Sculpted like a compact bulldozer, the warthog carries dark, leathery skin and a scruff of coarse bristles that stand up in a punky mane when excitement crackles. Those warts are not blemishes at all, but thick pads of skin, cheek shields that cushion blows during head-to-head tussles. Curved upper tusks arc like crescents, but it is the shorter, razor-edged lower tusks that do the cutting, slashing sideways with nasty precision. A flat, muscular snout ends in a tough, digging disc, perfect for plowing into baked earth after roots and bulbs. The front knees wear calloused pads. Warthogs kneel to graze, a quirky, energy-saving posture that looks like a bow, but functions like a lawnmower. Sparse hair helps shed heat, while dark skin resists sun and thorns. Wide-set eyes, swiveling ears, and a high head carriage keep the horizon surveyed. And when it is time to go, that skinny tail pops upright like a radio antenna, an all-aboard flag for a fast, zigzag exit. Daylight suits them. Warthogs spend mornings and late afternoons foraging, then rest through the hottest hours near shade or burrow mouths. They are opportunists with a menu of tough grasses, tubers, fallen fruit, and juicy extras like grubs, anything the snout can locate and the hooves can unearth. Digging doubles as engineering. They open and tidy old aardvark burrows, then reverse park into them at night, tusks pointed out like a doorman who lifts weights. Predators rewrite the schedule. At the hint of lion or hyena, a sounder bolts in single file, tails aloft for visibility in tall grass. If escape routes pinch shut, a warthog can pivot from comedian to gladiator, charging low, slashing with those under tusks, and shrieking with the kind of clarity that makes even a leopard blink. Most fights are brief, all footwork and timing. Victory is measured in meters gained, not trophies claimed. Dust baths cool skin and eject parasites, and a good wallow is both spa day and scent marker, warthog cologne, eau de mud. Community here is practical. Females form tight-knit sounders with their piglets, sharing vigilance and sometimes babysitting duties in creches at safe burrow sites. They communicate in grunts, snorts, and tail talk, shifting formation the moment danger whispers. Boars often live alone or in loose bachelor groups, swinging by when mating season stirs the air. Male-male contests are armored fencing matches, head shoves, tusk parries, and sidesteps, where those facial warts pay their dues. Gestation runs about 5 to 6 months. Litters of 2 to 4 emerge striped and swift, born into a world where standing up fast is lesson 1. Mothers are fierce but pragmatic, moving burrows when predators map their routines and teaching piglets the art of kneel grazing, quick dashes, and knowing when a fight is worth it. Warthogs are the plumbers and plows of the savanna. Their digging aerates soil, plants seeds, and invites rain into hardpan. Their grazing trims coarse grasses, so tender regrowth feeds antelope lines behind them. Old burrows become life support for mongooses, jackals, and even owls. They are also key prey for lions, leopards, and hyenas, fuel for the food web they help maintain. Listed as of least concern on paper, they still run the gauntlet of snares, habitat squeeze, and disease. In Uganda's parks, anti-poaching patrols and community stewardship let this tough little engineer keep punching above its weight. In a land that worships speed and size, the warthog is a reminder that grit, wit, and a good exit strategy can win the day. It embodies the spirit of scrappy survival, unpretty, unpretentious, and unstoppable when it matters. The first warning is a sound. Low water rushing over stones, a deep grunt from somewhere in the reeds, and the soft slap of muddy current against the bank. Then comes the smell: wet earth, crushed grass, and that sharp river scent that seems to hang in the air before danger shows its face. This is the Mara River, one of the most important crossings on the savanna. It cuts through wide grassland and thorny country, and for the animals of the migration, it can mean the difference between making it through the day or not. Here, the river is not just a place, it is a test. Wildebeest and zebra come here in huge numbers, while crocodiles lie in wait below the surface, and hippos guard their own stretch of water. It looks peaceful from a distance. Up close, it is anything but. No roar, no drum roll, just a soft click of claws on bark, and the fight is over before the grass remembers to sway. Meet the African leopard of Uganda's savannas and woodlands, from the fig-fringed tracks of Queen Elizabeth to the riverine shadows of Murchison and Kadipo. Sleek, solitary, and rosette-cloaked, it turns invisibility into its sharpest weapon and trees into private dining rooms. This cat is stealth stitched in gold. A slender, muscular body wears a coat of sunlit amber scattered with black rosettes, nature's pixelation that dissolves the leopard into leaf and shadow. Wide, padded paws erase footsteps. Retractable claws stay razor-keen for climbing, and that final, vice-like grip. The tail is a balancing pole, long and expressive, steadying roof-to-branch sprints and tight mid-air twists. Forward-facing eyes, turbocharged by a reflective tapetum, gulp down starlight. Ears swivel to catch the tiniest wing flick. Whiskers map thorny spaces like radar. The skull is compact and powerful, short jaws built to clamp a throat or nape with clinical precision. And then there are the shoulders, overbuilt winches of muscle designed for the showstopper, deadlifting a carcass heavier than the cat and hauling it into a forked branch where lions and hyenas can only glare from below. Every line says the same thing. Get close, strike clean, vanish upward. The leopard's savagery is strategy. It hunts alone, leaning on patience so profound it feels like a superpower, lying low for an hour, reading wind and routine, inching forward only when a head drops or a hoof hesitates. Most action unfurls at night or in the cool edges of dawn and dusk. The approach is a slow equation, grass to termite mound to gully, until distance collapses and speed detonates. Two or three bounds, a suffocating hold, and quiet returns. Often the prey is smaller than the cat, bushbuck fawns, monkeys, birds, hares, not because it cannot do bigger, but because safe bets pay best in a dangerous neighborhood. Then comes the signature move: drag, climb, cache. By hoisting dinner skyward, the leopard avoids ground brawls with hyenas and lions. The savage fights it refuses to lose by never showing up. Diet is flexible by design. Young antelopes, monkeys, birds, reptiles, whatever the season and shadows allow. In a world where resources flicker, adjustment is the daily ritual. Privacy is policy. Adults live alone, their home ranges overlapping like polite whispers instead of lines drawn in stone, males skimming the edges of several females' territories. They negotiate with scent marks, scratch posts, and a rasping, saw-like call that threads through the dark. Courtship is brief, then secrecy takes over. After roughly 3 months, a female tucks 1 to 3 cubs into a hidden den, rock crevice, thicket, hollow log, shifting sights often to outsmart curious noses. She is hunter, teacher, and bodyguard, ferrying meat to cover and running tiny stalking drills that grow into real lessons. Cubs face a hard syllabus. Hyenas, lions, and snares all grade harshly. Adults dodge open conflict whenever possible, but corner a leopard and you will meet a blur of claws and muscle that convinces trouble to reconsider. As adaptable ambush predators, leopards prune small and mid-sized herbivores and primates, shaping when and where grazing and browsing happen. Their tree-cached kills fuel a second wave of life. Genets, civets, eagles, hyenas, recycling nutrients from canopy to soil. Flexibility is their edge. Broad diet, stealth, and vertical escape routes keep them thriving when specialists stumble. Yet threats bite back. Habitat loss, wire snares, livestock conflict, and illegal trade. Listed as vulnerable, leopards in Uganda lean on protected areas, anti-poaching patrols, and community stewardship to keep those rosettes moving through the dusk. In a world that celebrates loud battles, the leopard wins by never raising its voice. It embodies the art of precise ferocity, a reminder that sometimes the fiercest fight is a whisper followed by silence. Endurance looks invincible until the sun turns the world into an oven and the grass hides an ambush you cannot outrun. Even the best marathon hunters hit walls made of heat, distance, and thieves bigger than themselves. Meet the African wild dog, Lycaon pictus, the painted wolf of sub-Saharan savannas, woodlands, and floodplains. A collage of black, gold, and white patches and those satellite dish ears make it unmistakable, and the white-tipped tail is a moving flag in tall grass. Adorned in mottled paint-splash fur, no two wild dogs look alike, a living code for pack identity. Built like a distance runner, it carries a narrow chest, long legs, and a light frame that trades brute force for stamina. Each foot has only 4 toes, no dew claws, optimizing stride efficiency over uneven ground. Those oversized rounded ears are radiators and antennas, dumping heat and catching whispers of hoofbeats and pack mate chirps. A tough, elastic skin resists tears in tight chases. Lean muscles and a big heart-lung engine fuel steady lopes at 8 to 12 kilometers per hour and bursts over 60 kilometers per hour when it counts. Vision is keen, smell is excellent, but the real superpower is thermoregulation plus teamwork, panting, ear cooling, and short sprints stitched into long pursuits. Still, physics writes a ceiling. Run too hard in midday and they overheat. Push beyond oxygen budgets and lactic acid steals their legs. Their design is for efficiency, not endless sprinting. Most hunts begin at dawn or dusk with a rally. Squeaky twitters, muzzle kisses, tails helicoptering, sometimes punctuated by sneeze votes where enough snorts mean, "Let us go." The pack fans out at a ground-eating trot, reading wind and tracks, testing herds of impala, gazelles, or kudu calves. Strategy is fluid. One team pressures, another flanks, then roles switch, relay hunting that turns distance into a net. When a target stumbles, several dogs move in, ending it quickly and cleanly. Success rates run high compared to many predators, but the clock is always ticking. Rising heat shortens chases, thorn thickets break momentum, and hyenas or lions can arrive like a tax collector. After the kill, they feed fast, then move off, often returning with meat for pups or injured pack mates by an elegant solution, regurgitation deliveries straight to waiting mouths. Midday brings shade and panting rest. Waterholes invite quick drinks and a scan for trouble. In flood seasons, they detour along channels, keeping feet cool and scent cones honest. When predators reach their limits, they do what wild dogs do best: pause, regroup, and hunt smart, not hard. Family is everything. Packs are usually anchored by a dominant breeding pair, but hierarchy here is more choreography than tyranny. Pups eat first at kills, a social contract signed in meat. Adults babysit, guard dens, and bring meals home for nursing females and the old or injured. Breeding peaks in the dry season. Females whelp large litters, often 6 to 16, in old aardvark burrows or dugout dens. For weeks, the pack is tethered to pups. Hunters rotate guard duty. Communication runs on high-pitched twitters, greeting whines, and the haunting long-distance who call to reunite stragglers. Females tend to disperse to join neighboring coalitions. Males are more likely to stay with birthplace brothers, seeding stability. Pack size flexes with prey and pressure, too small, and they struggle to hold kills or raise pups. Too large and mouths outrun the menu. The limit shows up as arithmetic, not bravado. As apex coursers, African wild dogs prune medium-sized antelope and shape when and where herds graze, the landscape of fear that lets seedlings and stream edges recover. Their quick, clean kills mean less waste. Leftovers feed vultures, jackals, hyenas, beetles, and soil. Adaptations, heat-dumping ears, long-distance gait, cooperative relay tactics, and sneeze consensus turn savannas into playing fields they can read. But hard limits crowd in. Lions and hyenas steal meals and kill adults or pups. Wire snares and roads slice roots. Diseases like distemper and rabies spill from unvaccinated dogs. Fences turn migrations into dead ends. With only a few thousand left and a fraction of those mature, they are listed as endangered, surviving where corridors, vaccination buffers, and coexistence with herders hold. The African wild dog is teamwork made visible, a symbol that strength multiplies when you know your limits and your family's needs. In a hot, hungry world, they remind us that the smartest chase is the one you can finish together.
Have you ever stood beside a roadside pond and watched the water go still, only to remember that something huge could be right under the surface? That is the feeling a hippo brings. The air may seem calm, the mud may look soft and harmless, but one wrong step in that marsh can wake a giant with a very short temper. Hippopotamuses live along rivers, lakes, and marshlands across Africa, and they spend much of their day in the water, partly to stay cool and partly to guard the places they call their own. They are built like living boulders, with mouths that can open wider than most people would think possible and teeth made for trouble. By daylight, they may seem lazy, but do not let that fool you. Their world is full of rivals, calves, and danger just beneath the surface. The hippopotamus spends much of its life in water, but it is no gentle river spirit. This animal can weigh as much as a small truck, with adult males often reaching 3,300 to 4,000 pounds or more. That bulk gives it a shape that is hard to miss. Its body is round and heavy, like a giant barrel with short legs tucked underneath. The skin looks smooth from a distance, but it is thick and tough, built for a life that mixes mud, water, and conflict. Its eyes, ears, and nostrils sit high on its head so it can see, hear, and breathe, while most of its body stays hidden. And then there is that mouth. When a hippo opens wide, it is not yawning in a sleepy way. It is showing off a warning. The jaws can swing open to about 150 degrees, revealing tusk-like teeth that can grow up to 24 inches long. The lower canines are especially fearsome. They keep sharpening themselves as the animal moves. In person, a hippo can seem almost clumsy on land, but that impression fades fast when it decides to charge. Its skin is one more surprise. It is sensitive and can dry out under the hot sun, which is one reason the animal depends so much on water, mud, and shade. That layer of skin also gives off a reddish fluid that helps protect it, almost like built-in sunscreen and germ protection rolled into one. Most days, a hippo's routine is built around water. It rests in rivers or pools during the heat, often in groups with only ears, eyes, and nostrils showing above the surface. When evening comes, it climbs out to graze. Yes, graze. For all that power, the hippo is mostly a plant eater. It leaves the water after dark and walks to nearby grasslands, where it can eat many pounds of grass in a single night. It does not spend much time chewing during the day, so the night shift matters. Those journeys from water to pasture can cover surprising distances, and hippos often follow the same paths night after night, carving out muddy trails through the land. Even though they are heavy, they can move faster than most people expect. A startled hippo on land is not something anyone wants to meet. In the water, it looks slow and almost dreamy. On land, it can come alive in a rush. That contrast is part of what makes them so dangerous. They depend on access to clean water and nearby feeding grounds, so shrinking wetlands and crowded human landscapes can turn old routines into risky ones. Farmers, fishers, and village communities sometimes end up living too close for comfort. Hippos are social animals, and those groups can be peaceful for a while, especially when there is enough room and enough water. A pod may include mothers, calves, and several adults resting together like a floating cluster of dark rocks. But the peace is fragile. Males guard stretches of river or pool with fierce attention. A dominant bull may claim a section of water and defend it from rivals with bluff charges, jaw gapes, and full-force clashes. Calves stay close to their mothers and that bond matters because the water they depend on is no safe place if a powerful male gets agitated. A mother hippo can be especially dangerous when protecting her young. She will not hesitate to place herself between danger and her calf. Hippos also communicate with grunts, snorts, and low calls that carry across water. At night, those sounds can roll over a marsh like a warning drum. They may seem slow and heavy, but their family life is built on alertness, space, and a constant sense of territory. And that matters far beyond the hippo itself. By moving between water and grassland, hippos help shape the places they live in. Their trails create pathways. Their grazing influences plant growth. Their waste even feeds fish and other water life downstream. In a quiet way, they help keep river systems working. But they also remind us that even a peaceful-looking wetland can hide raw power. One moment, the marsh looks still. The next, a giant rises, and every animal nearby remembers who owns the water. At dusk on an African riverbank, the light turns gold, and the air cools fast. Egrets settle into the reeds. Waterbucks slip toward the edge to drink. Then the hippos begin to stir. First comes a grunt, then a splash. A calf nudges close to its mother, while a larger bull lifts his head and stares into the fading light. Out on the bank, a waterbuck steps too near. The hippo bull notices at once. He snorts. The water shudders. The antelope freezes, then bolts back into the grass. A little farther off, crocodiles lie still as driftwood, waiting for their own chance. For a moment, the whole river seems to hold its breath, but the hippos keep their ground, steady and immense, reminding every other creature that this is their water, their mud, their night. And when the tension passes, the marsh settles again into a dark, living calm.
Think of a place where the grass reaches up to your knees, the air feels dry and warm, and every breeze carries the faint smell of dust and sun-baked earth. That is Kruger's grassland country. It opens wide under a big sky, with patches of thorny brush, scattered trees, and long waves of grass bending in the wind. In the morning, birds call from the treetops, and insects buzz low over the ground. By afternoon, the heat settles in and everything seems to pause for a moment. This is home to zebra, wildebeest, giraffe, buffalo, and lions, along with elephants, rhinos, and many smaller creatures that slip through the grass almost unseen. It looks peaceful at first glance, but out here, every step matters, and every sound can mean food, danger, or both.
The dust is already hanging in the air. Hooves drum the ground in a hurry, and the whole plain seems to shake with movement. One animal after another pushes forward, shoulder to shoulder, all of them heading for the next patch of life before the heat and hunger catch up. This is the blue wildebeest, and it lives across the grasslands of eastern and southern Africa, where survival often depends on staying with the crowd. More than 1 million of them join this great migration, along with some 300,000 zebra and 400,000 gazelle. At a glance, a wildebeest can seem like a strange mix of parts, but every feature has a purpose. Its head is low and heavy, its neck short and sturdy, and its senses are sharp. It can hear and smell danger well, and it can even pick up ground vibrations from distant water or the footsteps of other animals. But it cannot see as far as the zebra can, so it leans on its neighbors for help. A blue wildebeest is built for movement. The shoulders ride high. The front half looks powerful and deep, and the head carries those curved horns like a rough set of tools made for a hard life. The coat is gray-brown, almost dusty in the sunlight, but there is a blue sheen to it that gives the animal its name. Up close, the mane looks bristled and wild, like it has been caught in a constant breeze. The tail swishes, the nostrils flare, and the whole body gives off a sense of restless energy. This is not a creature that stands still for long. Each day is spent on the move, grazing where the grass is fresh and following the rains as best it can. Wildebeest eat short grasses, and they usually feed in large groups, heads down, tearing at the ground like a living field of lawnmowers. That may sound peaceful, but it is never simple. While they graze, they are always listening, always sniffing the wind, always watching for lions, hyenas, and other hunters that wait for the herd to lose its edge. And the herd itself matters just as much as the grass. Wildebeest live best when they are packed together, because many eyes and many ears are better than one. They do not rely on beauty or stealth. They rely on numbers, speed, and caution. When danger comes, the weak and the very young can be left behind, and that is the hard truth of the migration. But there is also teamwork here, and plenty of it. Wildebeest often travel with zebra, and though they are not family, they help one another. Zebra can see nearly 360 degrees around them, so they act like watchful neighbors. Wildebeest, with their keen noses and ears, add another layer of defense. It is a partnership where both sides benefit, and in a land full of teeth and claws, that matters a lot. Even the way they move says something about their life. They do not stroll. They surge, bunch, scatter, and gather again. Calves stay close to their mothers at first, but the whole herd can still seem like one huge breathing body, always shifting, always ready to bolt. And that is what makes the migration so gripping. It is not just a journey, it is a constant test. The wildebeest plays a key part in the savanna too. It turns grass into food for bigger hunters and helps shape where plants grow back after grazing. Without animals like this, the whole rhythm of the plains would change. Every year, the African continent watches this great procession unfold, and every year the stakes stay the same. For the wildebeest, the goal is simple and ancient. Keep moving, keep feeding, keep one more sunrise within reach. Now the herd tightens, heads come up. Something has changed. The air feels wrong. A ripple passes through the animals, fast as a warning in a church pew. One wildebeest bolts, then another, and suddenly the whole mass surges forward in a burst of hooves and dust. The weak ones are shoved from behind. A calf stumbles, scrambles, and finds its feet just in time. Off to one side, zebras spin around, eyes wide and ears high, scanning the grass for the reason behind the fear. A line of predators waits in the distance, low and patient. The wildebeest do what they were built to do. They press together. They push on. They do not stop. And for one more stretch of the journey, that is enough. Here's a hard truth of the savannah. Some of the biggest danger comes from an animal that does not look flashy at all. No mane, no stripes, just a dark, solid shape moving through the grass with purpose. The African buffalo can weigh up to 2,000 pounds, and when a herd comes together, it feels less like a group of animals and more like a moving wall. These are powerful grazers of the open plains and river edges, and they live across much of Africa's grasslands and woodlands. One adult bull can be a serious challenge on its own, but a herd is something else entirely. Thick hide, heavy horns, and a fierce bond with the group make this one of the most respected animals on the continent. And on the savannah, respect is never given for free. Every day is about staying alert, staying close, and staying alive.
Some hunters strike with talons. This one ends fights with a lightning-fast kick. Meet the secretary bird, Sagittarius serpentarius, the long-legged raptor of East Africa's open savannas. A terrestrial specialist famed for dispatching venomous snakes, cobras, even puff adders. It throws kicks that land with up to 5 times its own body weight in under 15 milliseconds, often aimed straight at the head or neck. Picture an eagle riding on crane legs. Standing around 1.2 to 1.3 meters tall with a 2-meter wingspan, the secretary bird wears slate gray and white plumage, black flight feathers and shorts, and a pair of elegant tail streamers that trail like punctuation. A bare orange to yellow face sits beneath a spray of black quills behind the head, an old-world flourish that inspired the name. But the real story is below the waist. Extraordinarily long, scaly, horn-covered legs clad in tough keratin scutes, built to take impacts and deliver them back. Toes are blunt and widely splayed for stomping stability, not perching theatrics. Inside, long tendons and a hinge-like intertarsal joint act like a sprung hammer, letting the bird snap its foot down with surgical speed, measured strikes that can stun, daze, or kill in a blink. Height keeps vital organs above a snake's strike zone, armor-like scales, blunt fangs that do land. Broad wings give short, explosive lift to pounce, while thick lashes and a nictitating membrane shield the eyes when dust and danger fly. The result is a purpose-built ground raptor, tall enough to see trouble, fast enough to end it. Dawn is walking time. Secretary birds leave their roosts and drop to the grass, covering kilometers with that purposeful, high-stepping stride. Eyes scanning, toes probing, and the occasional drum roll of rapid stamps to flush whatever's hiding. They're diurnal specialists, most active in the cool morning and late afternoon, resting or preening through the noon furnace on a shaded perch. The menu is whatever the savannah serves. Snakes, lizards, rodents, hares, young birds, and swarms of big insects after rain or fire. When a snake shows, the show begins, feints, wing mantling for balance and a shield, then the signature strike, a kick that lands with up to 5 times the bird's body weight in less than 15 milliseconds, usually aimed at head or neck. Big serpents get dazed with repeated blows, pinned, then grabbed behind the skull with a precise beak jab. Small prey is stomped and swallowed on the spot. They'll shadow fresh burn scars where fleeing creatures are exposed, or patrol along game paths where movement betrays itself. Each step is a question. Each kick, an answer no snake wants to hear. These ground raptors run on partnership. Secretary birds form long-term monogamous pairs and hold spacious territories, often tens of square kilometers, patrolled on foot and defended with aerial displays, wing spreads, circling, and a rattling, croaking call you feel more than hear. Pairs often forage in loose tandem, 10 to 50 meters apart, flushing prey toward each other with the kind of non-verbal coordination that comes from years of walking the same lines. Nesting happens high in thorny acacias or flat-topped trees, a broad stick platform, relined and expanded season after season. A clutch of 1 to 3 eggs incubates for roughly 45 to 50 days, both parents sharing the seat and the night watch. Chicks are fed by regurgitation, shaded under those broad wings, and fledge at around 3 months. But they stick with their parents for weeks more, trailing the patrol and practicing the family martial art on dropped prey and unlucky lizards. Around the nest, they're fearless. Jackals, crows, even eagles get met with flared wings and that piston kick. Partnership, patience, and precision hold the household together. On the savanna's front line, the secretary bird is a specialist that keeps trouble in check. As a terrestrial raptor, it suppresses populations of venomous snakes, puff adders, and cobras included, along with rodents, hares, lizards, and bursts of big insects after rain or fire. That control ripples outward. Fewer ambush snakes around ground nesters and antelope nurseries, fewer crop-raiding rodents near people. Its toolkit is purpose-built for this job. Scaly, horn-covered legs that deliver kicks with up to 5 times its body weight in under 15 milliseconds. Long, elevated limbs that keep vital organs above a snake's strike zone. Keratin armor that blunts fangs. And sharp vision to read the slightest grass twitch. Wing mantling steadies the body and shields the face during close combat, while an efficient, high-stepping gait lets it patrol vast territories without wasting energy. Dependent on open grasslands, it now faces shrinking habitat, fencing, and power line collisions, pressures that have pushed it toward endangered status. When predators attack, This bird answers with poise and precision, elegance turning into impact. The secretary bird embodies guardianship on long legs, a living reminder that courage can be calm and decisive.
In the soft light of morning, the savanna can feel almost still. A breeze moves through the grass. Birds call from far off. And then, above the open plain, a tall shape drifts into view, like something from a dream. Long legs, a gentle sway of the neck, a calm, watchful face, looking out over everything below. This is the giraffe, one of Africa's best-known giants, living across the savannas and open woodlands, where it can reach the highest leaves and keep an eye on danger. It looks peaceful from a distance, but life here is never simple. Soon we'll see how that long neck helps with feeding, fighting, and survival. And if you're enjoying the journey, go ahead and say hello in the comments. I'd love to hear where you're watching from. The giraffe stands in a world of lions, hyenas, and dry seasons, and every day asks something new of it. With a body built like no other, this animal turns height into a way of life. Its long legs seem almost too delicate for such a giant, yet they carry an animal that can stand nearly 18 feet tall when fully grown. The coat is patterned with large patches that vary from one giraffe to the next, like a personal fingerprint painted in gold, brown, and cream. Those patches are not just for looks. They help break up the animal's outline among trees and sunlight. And the neck, of course, is the first thing most people notice. It can reach up to about 1 to 2 feet long, with 7 neck bones, just like ours, only much larger. Each one is over 10 inches long. That long neck gives the giraffe a view over the grass and a reach into branches that other animals can't touch, but it also comes with a lot of weight to manage. Inside that huge body is a heart about 24 pounds in size, pumping blood with about twice the pressure of a human. That's what it takes to push blood all the way up to the brain. The giraffe's whole body is a lesson in careful engineering. Even its head carries small horn-like knobs called ossicones, covered in skin, that look soft at first glance, but are part of its hard-won design. The giraffe spends much of its day feeding, and that is where its height pays off most. It moves through the savanna like a quiet tower, browsing on leaves, buds, and twigs high in the trees. Acacia trees are a favorite, though those branches are protected by sharp thorns, so the giraffe has to be picky and patient. Its long tongue, dark and tough, can twist around branches and pull leaves free while helping avoid the worst of the thorns. You can almost picture the rhythm of it. Stretch, pluck, chew, step, reach again. It does not rush. On the open plains, that calm pace is part of its survival. Giraffes often feed in the cooler hours when the heat is gentler. They may travel alone, in loose groups, or with others that come and go without much fuss. They are not bound together the way wildebeest or buffalo are, but being near others still helps. More eyes mean more warning. More height means danger can be spotted sooner. And when trouble does arrive, the giraffe's size becomes both blessing and burden. A lion may see a young or weakened giraffe as an opportunity, especially if the animal is tired, separated, or caught in a bad spot. Even so, an adult giraffe is no easy meal. It can deliver a powerful kick strong enough to hurt or kill a predator. Those long legs are not just for walking. They are built like living clubs. Family life for giraffes is a little different from what many people expect. Mothers give birth standing up, which means the newborn enters the world with a hard drop to the ground. That sounds rough, but the calf has to stand and move quickly if it is going to keep up with the group and avoid predators. At first, a calf stays close to its mother, nursing and learning the shape of the world one careful step at a time. Other females may gather in loose groups and help watch over the young, though there is no strict family pack like you might see in elephants or lions. Communication is often quiet, a flick of the ear, a look, a change in posture. Giraffes also use low sounds and even deep, rumbling calls that people once missed because they are so soft and low. When males compete for mates, the scene changes fast. They swing those long necks in a ritual battle called necking, using their heads like hammers. The sound can carry far across the plain. It is slow, then sudden, almost graceful, until it is not. And that is the strange beauty of the giraffe. It seems built for peace, yet it lives among hard rules. Its height lets it feed above the reach of many other grazers, which helps ease pressure on lower shrubs and leaves for other animals. It also keeps a close watch over the land, acting like a moving lookout on the plains. But giraffes face growing problems in some places, from habitat loss to shrinking wild spaces. Keeping open land connected matters if they are going to keep roaming. A giraffe can look almost dreamlike in the evening light, but every mile it walks is part of a careful, everyday fight to stay alive. And maybe that is what makes it so easy to love. It carries itself with quiet grace, even in a world that never stops testing it. Now imagine late afternoon on the savannah. The light is turning gold. A small herd of giraffes stands near a line of thorn trees, heads high, ears turning at every sound. Below them, zebras and wildebeest shuffle through the grass, all of them sensing the day is changing. Then a lion pride begins to move. Low bodies, slow steps, almost no sound at all. One lioness slips through the grass toward a young giraffe that has wandered a little too far from its mother. Another circles wide. The giraffe notices first. It freezes. Then it takes a long, measured step back. The calf hurries in close. The mother swings her head and plants her feet. The lioness comes nearer. Dust lifts in the dry air. For a moment, nothing moves. Then the giraffe lunges forward, a sudden burst of power from all that long-legged calm. And the lioness pulls away before those legs can land a clean strike. The pride melts back into the grass. No blood, no victory parade, just another close call on a plain where everyone is always reading the same warning signs. And as the light fades, The giraffes drift back to feeding, necks rising above the darkening grass, carrying their quiet strength into the night. The dust hangs in the air before the animal even moves. A dry thorn smell, a faint breeze, and then the heavy scrape of a foot against hard earth. Out here, one wrong sound can change everything in a heartbeat. And when that happens, there is no mistaking what you are seeing. This is the rhinoceros, one of Africa's great giants, found across open savannas and grasslands where it can feed and keep watch. It may seem calm from a distance, but that calm can vanish in an instant. An adult rhino can weigh up to 3,000 pounds, and its thick hide looks almost like a suit of folded armor. The horn on its snout is made of keratin, the same material as our fingernails, but in a rhino, it becomes a serious weapon. What makes the rhino so striking is that mix of bulk and caution. It lives with its senses on alert, ready to react before most animals even know trouble has arrived. Yet for all that power, the biggest danger it faces is not another rhino. It is people. Poaching for horns has pushed these animals to the brink, and in many places, rangers now patrol day and night to protect them. Some even dehorn rhinos to help keep them alive, a sad sign of how hard the fight has become. A rhino usually lives alone, which suits its watchful nature. It does not need a crowd to feel strong. It moves through the grass with a kind of stubborn purpose, using smell and hearing far more than eyesight. Its vision is poor at a distance, so anything unfamiliar can trigger a quick response. A snapped branch, a strange scent on the wind, a distant call. That can be enough to send the animal straight toward the source, horn first. It is not trying to be reckless. It is trying to survive. When feeding, rhinos spend long hours grazing, pulling in grass, and moving slowly across their range. They need good ground, steady water, and enough space to keep out of trouble. Their bodies are built for endurance more than grace. The legs look short under all that mass, but they can carry an enormous load. And when that body starts to move faster, it is a powerful sight. Not fast, like a cheetah, more like a runaway truck across the plain. Family life in rhinos is usually simple and tense all at once. Mothers raise calves on their own, staying close enough to protect them, but not so close that they become easy targets. Young rhinos depend on their mothers for safety and for learning the rhythms of the land. Later, when breeding season comes around, tensions rise. Adult males may drive away a female's calf to push her back into mating sooner, and clashes between males can drag on for hours. These fights are not small scuffles. They are hard, grinding battles where horn meets horn, and neither side wants to give ground. Nearly half of all natural deaths in the species can come from those fights. Still, the biggest threat remains human hands. Horns that have no real healing power are still hunted for profit, treated as if they were gold. That is why every saved rhino matters so much. It matters not just because the species is beautiful, but because it helps shape the savanna itself. Rhinos open up grassland as they feed, and that creates space for smaller animals and new growth. They are part of the great engine of the plains, even if they mostly work alone. And when you see one standing there in the heat, shoulders rising and falling, you can feel just how ancient that power is. Then the rhino lowers its head, snorts once, and walks on, carrying the whole weight of survival with it. Have you ever stood near something so large that it seemed to change the air around it? On the African savanna, the ground does just that. It softens, then thuds. It shivers under a slow, heavy step. And then, through the dust and heat, the giant appears. The African elephant lives across much of sub-Saharan Africa, and it is the biggest land animal on Earth. A full-grown adult can weigh up to 1,300 pounds and stand nearly 13 feet tall. That kind of size brings respect everywhere it goes. Lions keep their distance. Even a whole pride thinks twice. But this giant is not only power, it is memory, feeling, and family, all wrapped into one. Its trunk can lift, sniff, carry, and strike. Its mind is sharp, and its presence, you feel it before you ever get close.
Did you know that the savanna's most successful hunter might be the one most people call a scavenger? Think you know hyenas? Wait until you see how they budget every heartbeat. Meet the spotted hyena of the East African grasslands, working the edges of a drying waterhole, sloped shoulders, a thick neck, and that wide bone-crushing grin. She's built for the long game. Painted in smoky tan and ink-dark spots, the spotted hyena looks like it was sketched in haste and reinforced with steel. Front legs are longer than the back, giving a powerful, forward-leaning profile and a rolling gait that conserves energy over distance. A dense mane traces the ridge of the neck, and rounded radar dish ears drink in sound. Inside that blocky skull sits a jaw engine few can rival, crushing power around 1,100 psi drives, specialized premolars that turn bones to chalk. Even the stomach is sculpted by evolution. Highly acidic, it dissolves hooves, skin, and calcium, reclaiming nutrients others leave behind. Females, the larger sex, carry more muscle and endurance, and their robust shoulders hoist heavy loads over long patrols. Thick pads and splayed toes grip mud and dust alike, while generous lungs and a big heart feed an economy run. Less sprint, more steady profit. Nothing here wastes energy. Every line and lever says, outlast them. Hyenas do their best work in the cool margins, dawn, dusk, and night. At a slow, tireless lope, they can cover 30 to 50 kilometers in a shift, testing wind, reading tracks, listening for panic. They hunt more than they scavenge, targeting wildebeest calves, zebra foals, and impala, switching from stealth to pursuit the moment a mistake appears. No dramatic pounce, just relentless pressure, a metronome of endurance that turns speedsters into stumblers. At the waterhole, they circle wide, sampling the breeze, mapping mud like a chessboard. Where will hooves bog down? Where will fear choose the wrong exit? Midday, they concede to heat, retreating to shade or burrows, panting efficiently, while the sun taxes everyone equally. Communication is their superpower. That eerie whoop can carry for kilometers, assembling help or broadcasting ownership. Scent pasting on grass. Stems leave sticky notes for clanmates, soft growls and giggles. Yes, the laugh. Thread strategy in real time. Spotted hyenas live in matriarchal clans, sometimes 30 or more strong, ruled by a dominant female whose daughters inherit rank. Females are larger, bolder, and lead hunts. Males often disperse to seek their fortunes elsewhere. Greetings are formal and unmistakable, tail high, ritualized inspections that confirm identity and status. Cubs are born at a communal den, dark-furred and wide-eyed, already armed with tiny teeth. High-ranking mothers nurse more and longer, and their young rise faster through the social queue. Cooperative? Yes, but with politics. Allies matter, kinship matters more. With lions, it's rivalry written in claw marks. Sometimes hyenas bully pride. Females off a kill through numbers and nerve. Other times, lions smash the line and everyone scatters. Survival is a series of negotiations, and hyenas are fluent. As both hunters and cleanup crew, hyenas keep the savanna's books balanced. They curb herbivore numbers, and when the hunt is over, they vacuum the leftovers, bones included, cycling calcium and phosphorus back into soil. Their patience opens carcasses others can't, benefiting vultures and jackals. In turn, those flyers act as aerial scouts. Keen noses, oversized auditory bullae for fine-tuned hearing, and marathon metabolisms let them work through heat and hunger better than most. Threats, persecution, poisoning near livestock, snares, shrinking ranges. Officially least concern, but locally pressured, and too often misjudged by reputation rather than reality. In a world where power often looks like speed, the hyena is a reminder that stamina is its own kind of strength, a symbol of gritty intelligence, thriving where limits are the rule, not the exception. The surprise here is not the heat. It is how much life can rise out of it. The savanna plains stretch wide and open, with grass that can look golden one day and green the next after the rains. The air shimmers in the afternoon, and even the wind seems to move in long, slow waves across the land. Out here, there is nowhere to hide for long. Antelope, zebra, buffalo, lion, elephant, and rhino all share these open spaces, each one reading the country in a different way. Some listen for danger, some smell it, some simply keep moving. because standing still can be a risk of its own. And that is the heart of these plains. They are beautiful, yes, but never soft for long. Have you ever stood near a river and felt like the whole landscape was holding its breath? The water looks calm. The grass barely moves. But out there, under that calm surface, and in the dust beyond it, danger is already awake. A hippo lifts its head from the shallows. A crocodile lies still as driftwood. On the bank, a lion watches. Not far off, a rhino stands like a living boulder, and an elephant looms behind the trees, massive and unhurried. This is the kind of moment the savannah is built on. One step too close, one wrong move. And everything can change. In a place like this, power is never far away, and survival depends on who blinks first. Now, let's follow that tension down to the water's edge. The riverbank is a place of warm mud, crushed reeds, and sharp smells that hang in the air like a warning. The ground is soft underfoot, then suddenly slick near the waterline. In the heat of the day, it can seem almost sleepy. But this is where hippos wallow, crocs wait, lions drink carefully, rhinos cross in the open, and elephants arrive like moving walls. Each one belongs here. Each one knows the others can be trouble, and when they all meet in one place, the whole scene feels charged from the first second. It starts with the hippo. Heavy, half-hidden, and angry at the edge of the channel, it rises from the water with only its ears, eyes, and nose showing at first. Then the crocodile shifts nearby, not rushing, not panicking, just sliding one blunt shape through another. That stillness is its trick. It can wait longer than almost any animal on the river. The lion sees both of them and does what lions do best. It judges. It leans back from the water, not out of fear, but respect. A pride can bring down big prey on land, but a riverbank is a different story. Here, the lion is not in charge. Then the rhino appears, broad-shouldered and stubborn, sniffing the air with poor eyesight and plenty of doubt. One odd sound, one wrong scent, and it may decide to charge straight through the middle of the problem. And then comes the elephant, huge, calm, steady. Its footsteps press the earth flat. It does not hurry. It simply arrives, and the others make room. The hippo grunts and dips lower. The crocodile stays frozen. The lion gives ground. The rhino pauses, then swings away from the water. Even among giants, size is only part of the story. Temperament matters too. so does timing. So does who is willing to stand their ground. At last, the river settles again. The danger is still there, but it has shifted back into the shadows, where the savanna keeps so much of its power. From a distance, a whole landscape can seem separate and alone, but spend enough time here and you realize everything is connected, one life leaning on the next. The grass feeds the grazers. The grazers draw the hunters. The rivers test the brave. The cleanup crew keeps death from lingering too long. And through it all, the plain keeps moving, one season after another. That is the real story of this savanna, not just strength. Not just speed, but endurance, instinct, and the quiet will to go on. Some of these animals face shrinking habitat, poaching, and the pressures of people living closer and closer to the land. But there is hope in the work of rangers, researchers, and local communities who keep fighting for open spaces and safe passage. If you've enjoyed this journey, please like, subscribe, share it with a friend, and leave a comment telling us which animal stayed with you the most. And wherever you are tonight, I hope you carry a little bit of this wild country with you.